Welcome to the second video in our series, where we explore the profound and transformative teachings of Lao Tzu that have the power to change your life. In this episode, we'll dive into the concepts of balance, acceptance of impermanence, and the power of Wu Wei, or effortless action, which help us navigate the pressures of the modern world. Did you know that by letting go of control and allowing life to flow naturally, it's possible to find a peace that many seek, but few achieve? Get ready to discover how to live with purpose, without haste, and achieve true inner harmony. If you're ready for a radical transformation, stay with us. Lao Tzu encourages us to consider the value of living in balance and avoiding extremes. He observes that those who strive for the highest positions often face the greatest challenges. The tallest trees feel the strongest winds, he says. Those who reach the top of their careers or gain public prominence face constant pressure to maintain their position, often resulting in physical and emotional burnout. The same principle applies to those who rush to achieve success, whether through get-rich-quick schemes or constant multitasking. Lao Tzu warns us, those who rush do not go far. In a world where haste is often glorified, we forget that slow and steady progress can be more sustainable and effective. Multitasking, for example, may give us the illusion of productivity, but often reduces the quality of our work and increases stress. Moderation, in this context, does not mean mediocrity or a lack of ambition. Instead, it is an invitation to act with purpose and discernment, prioritizing quality over quantity and focusing on what truly matters. It's about choosing a pace of life that allows us to thrive without compromising our mental and emotional health. The pursuit of balance also means abandoning the need to compete constantly. Lao Tzu observes, "Those who try to shine brighter than others dim their own light." The relentless competition often encouraged by society can lead us to constantly compare ourselves to others and feel inadequate despite our accomplishments. However, by letting go of the need to outshine others, we begin to focus on our own genuine growth. Balance is also a way to resist the social pressure to always be busy. In a culture that idolizes work and productivity, learning to value rest, reflection, and moments of idleness can be a revolutionary act. Lao Tzu invites us to embrace the concept of Wu Wei, or effortless action, as a way to flow with life rather than struggle against it. By doing so, we not only preserve our energy, but also find a more authentic and effective way to achieve our goals. The practice of balance protects us from self-destruction, caused by the obsession with quick and unrealistic achievements. It teaches us to live with patience, contentment, and mindfulness, allowing us to appreciate each step of the journey. As Lao Tzu observes, those who know when to stop never encounter problems. They remain safe forever. One of the greatest sources of stress in modern life is our obsession with trying to control everything around us. We want to ensure security, success, and stability, but we often ignore that the nature of life is fluid and impermanent. Lao Tzu, in his timeless wisdom, invites us to reflect on the futility of trying to govern the uncontrollable. He writes, "Do you want to govern the world and control it? I don't think it can be done. The world is a sacred vessel and cannot be controlled. You will only make it worse if you try. It can slip through your fingers and disappear." These words are a powerful reminder that life is not something we can firmly grasp in our hands. The attempt to control everything, whether it's other people's opinions, external circumstances, or the outcomes of our actions, often leads to emotional exhaustion and disappointment. The truth is that much of what happens is beyond our reach. Take, for example, the pursuit of financial security. Many people believe that accumulating wealth and material possessions will bring the long-sought stability. However, history is full of examples of people who, despite having everything, still live in fear of losing what they have. This need for control generates constant anxiety and distances us from true inner peace. The same applies to the opinions of others. We want to be seen in a positive light, but the reality is that we cannot control what others think. Striving incessantly to be accepted or admired is like trying to capture the wind with our hands. As soon as we think we've succeeded, it changes direction. Acceptance of impermanence is the antidote to this cycle of control and frustration. Accepting that life is transient and that we do not have total control over what happens around us is liberating. It doesn't mean passivity, but rather a willingness to flow with life instead of fighting against it. Lao Tzu reminds us that by letting go of the desire for control, we find peace. Why not focus on what we can control, which is our ability to find inner peace amidst the chaos? Accepting impermanence also helps us deal better with loss and change. Instead of resisting the inevitable, we learn to embrace transformations as a natural part of life's flow. This attitude not only reduces suffering, but also helps us grow and adapt with greater resilience. To practice this philosophy, it's essential to cultivate mindfulness. Meditation and other practices of self-awareness can help us observe our thoughts and emotions without clinging to them. When we are present in the moment, we stop worrying about the future or dwelling on the past and begin to experience life as it truly is, a succession of unique and impermanent moments. Lao Tzu also reminds us that the chaos we often try to control is not something to be feared. On the contrary, it is an opportunity to free ourselves from the chains of perfectionism and the need for guarantees. He writes, "Let chaos be. Just be." This acceptance of chaos does not mean giving up, but rather trusting that the universe follows its natural course, and that, by flowing with it, we can find balance and harmony. As we conclude this reflection, it becomes clear that the act of letting go of control is, in fact, an act of courage. It requires us to abandon our fears and expectations and trust in the natural flow of life. This path may seem challenging at first, but as we practice it, we discover that true strength lies not in trying to control everything, but in living in harmony with the Tao, the essence of the universe. In the next steps, we will explore how the practice of Wu Wei, or effortless action, can help us apply these principles to our daily lives. After all, by letting go of control and embracing acceptance, we find the freedom to live more lightly, authentically, and connected to the present. Lao Tzu, in his Taoist wisdom, introduces us to the concept of Wu Wei, often translated as effortless action or non-action. At first glance, this may sound like passivity, but in reality, it is one of the most profound and transformative principles of his philosophy. Wu Wei does not mean the absence of action, but rather acting in alignment with the natural flow of life, without resistance or unnecessary effort. In a world that glorifies relentless effort and constant productivity, Wu Wei is an invitation to reconsider our relationship with work, goals, and even the concept of success itself. Lao Tzu teaches that by observing nature, we can see that the universe operates without forced effort. Trees grow, rivers flow, birds fly, all in perfect harmony with the Tao, the universal flow. He writes, "The way to do is to be." This idea challenges us to abandon the mentality of doing for the sake of doing, and instead seek a state of alignment with life. When we are in harmony with the Tao, our actions flow naturally, without the need to force or struggle against circumstances. Wu Wei also helps us identify when our efforts are counterproductive. Often, The more we try to force a result, the more resistance we encounter. Think of situations where we insist on controlling a project, a relationship, or even our own emotions. This insistence often creates tension and friction, preventing progress and causing us unnecessary suffering. Lao Tzu reminds us, "Those who try to force things rarely achieve what they desire." Practicing Wu Wei means recognizing the right moment to act and the right moment to step back. It is the wisdom of knowing when to allow things to take their course and trusting that the universe has its own way of resolving situations. This does not mean abandoning our goals, but rather approaching them with serenity and clarity instead of anxiety and desperation. For example, instead of trying to control every variable of a project at work, Wu Wei invites us to trust in collaboration and the natural flow of the process. Instead of trying to force a friendship or a relationship, Wu Wei teaches us to let connections develop naturally, without manipulation or excessive expectations. Wu Wei is also deeply connected to mindfulness. When we are present, we can perceive the rhythm of life around us and adjust our actions accordingly. This state of presence helps us let go of haste and anxiety, allowing our actions to become more intentional and effective. Additionally, Wu Wei teaches us to value rest and contemplation. In a society that idolizes constant movement, pausing can seem like an act of rebellion. However, Lao Tzu reminds us that rest is not a waste of time, but an opportunity to regain energy and clarity. Just as winter prepares the earth for spring, moments of inaction can be essential for growth and renewal. He writes, "Nature never hurries, yet everything is accomplished." This idea challenges us to rethink our relationship with time and success. Instead of measuring our worth based on how much we produce or achieve, Wu Wei invites us to find satisfaction in the simple act of being aligned with the flow of life. Practicing Wu Wei also means letting go of perfectionism. Accepting that not everything needs to be perfect frees us from the pressure of meeting unrealistic expectations, whether our own or those imposed by society. When we let go of this obsession with absolute control, we discover that life becomes lighter and more fulfilling. Finally, Wu Wei teaches us that by acting without forced effort, our actions have a deeper and more lasting impact. Like water, which shapes rock not through force but through persistence, our actions aligned with the Tao have the power to transform the world around us in a gentle yet powerful way. As we conclude this reflection on Wu Wei, it becomes clear that this principle is not just a philosophy of life, but a spiritual practice that helps us find peace, balance, and purpose. By integrating Wu Wei into our lives, we learn to navigate the complexities of the modern world with grace and tranquility, finding strength in softness and fulfillment in simplicity. In the next steps, we can explore how to apply these teachings to our daily routines, from how we work to how we relate to others and ourselves. After all, true mastery in life is not about doing more, but about doing with awareness and harmony with the universal flow. Integrating the concept of Wu Wei into our daily routine may seem challenging, especially in a world that values constant effort and obsessive control. However, Lao Tzu offers us an approach that not only reduces stress, but also enhances our effectiveness and well-being. Practicing Wu Wei does not mean abandoning responsibilities, but rather performing our tasks with more awareness, less resistance, and a deeper alignment with the natural flow of life. One of the most practical ways to apply Wu Wei is to start with small things in daily life. For example, when facing a problem at work, instead of reacting impulsively or trying to solve everything at once, allow yourself to take a pause. Breathe, observe the situation calmly, and trust that answers will come when you are in a state of mental clarity. This act of not forcing an immediate solution often leads to more creative and effective insights. Lao Tzu teaches us that life's natural flow is wise, and often problems resolve themselves when we stop interfering unnecessarily. He writes, "When you stop pushing, things adjust themselves." This principle is especially helpful in our relationships. Often, we try to mold those around us to fit our expectations. However, this approach usually leads to conflict and frustration. Wu Wei invites us to accept others as they are, allowing connections to flourish naturally. This doesn't mean tolerating harmful behavior, but practicing acceptance and empathy as the foundation for more harmonious relationships. Another aspect of Wu Wei is the ability to recognize when to stop. In a world obsessed with productivity, we are encouraged to keep working even when we are exhausted. However, Lao Tzu reminds us, "The one who knows when to stop never encounters trouble." This means learning to listen to our body and mind. When we feel overwhelmed, it's a signal that we need to slow down and recharge. Regular pauses, such as moments of meditation, walks in nature, or simply a few minutes of silence, can help us restore balance and reconnect with the present moment. Additionally, Wu Wei encourages us to simplify our lives. Instead of burdening ourselves with an endless list of tasks and goals, we can focus on what truly matters. Ask yourself, what is essential? What brings meaning and purpose? Eliminating the unnecessary allows us to concentrate on the most important things while creating space for spontaneity and creativity. Another practical example of Wu Wei is embracing the natural flow of events, even when things don't go as planned. Imagine you encounter a setback in a project, or a significant plan falls apart. Instead of resisting or feeling frustrated, practice acceptance. Tell yourself, this is part of the flow. Often, these unexpected detours provide valuable lessons or open doors to opportunities we would never have considered. Wu Wei also teaches us the importance of acting at the right time. It's not about never acting, but about acting with intention and harmony. Think of how a surfer rides waves. They don't try to dominate the ocean, but observe and adjust to the natural movement of the water. Similarly, our actions are most effective when they are synchronized with the rhythm of life. Finally, incorporating Wu Wei into daily life requires a shift in mindset. Instead of constantly worrying about future outcomes, we can focus on being present in the moment. This means approaching each task, no matter how small, with full attention and care. Whether washing dishes, taking care of a child, or attending a meeting, the simple act of being present transforms the experience from a chore into a moment of connection and meaning. Lao Tzu reminds us that true power is not in forcing, but in flowing. By adopting Wu Wei, we not only reduce stress and anxiety, but also find that life becomes lighter, more graceful, and more fulfilling. After all, the Tao's way is not about doing more, but about doing less with greater purpose and presence. In a world that pushes us to constantly seek more, we learn that true freedom lies in simplifying, slowing down, and trusting in the natural flow of life. But now we want to hear from you. How did these ideas resonate with you? Leave your thoughts, reflections, or questions in the comments. If you enjoyed this journey of learning, like and share so that more people can discover this transformative philosophy. Together, we can create a less anxious and more harmonious life, following the wisdom of Taoist teachings.